This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone! I can't believe what I just saw. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. You believe in miracles?
You may fire when ready.
What?
Welcome, Cubs and Cardinals fans, to the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcast and blog content. This is the weekend of July 1st. Follow us on social media, Team of Rivals Pod, or online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And for those of you who prefer to watch the show, we also post to YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, so hit the like and subscribe button. So be sure that notifications are on so that you know anytime we post new content. As you know, I was out of town last weekend. The boy and I hopped on the train and headed down south. We avoided 55 and instead took public transit. Didn't have to stress out 5 hours worth of traffic. Spent the weekend in the Lou. Got to sit in for two Cubs-Cardinals games. And, Ronald and I will get into it. Don't want to spoil the surprise here. But the surprise that we won't be spoiling right now is letting you know that Elliott's not on the show tonight because apparently he got surprised by a road trip that I must have just come out of nowhere. It sounds like, I guess he got kidnapped by either his wife or his brother or his parents, who knows, but all of a sudden he's got a pack and he doesn't think he's going to be able to make it on the show. So joining me for this week's show, co-founder of the Team of Rivals and number 104 in the 2021 edition of the Top Cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall. Ron, how you been this week, buddy?
Oh, there we go with asking us how we've done this week. We already talked before we hit record. I criticized this thing that podcasters do for like a while now, but no, it's been an interesting. It's been a very different week from Monday on. We've had the boys at sleepaway camp. They have not been here.
Ooh.
Now we've had them with like grandparents and people we know, so it's not quite as, I guess, stressful or worrisome. But yeah, they're about 3 hours away. Still in North Carolina, but about 3 hours away, just south of Asheville, and called Brevard. And it's a church camp. That's not the music anybody's
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you.
No, we still have our daughter here.
Okay, but she sleeps.
She sleeps. She also has a habit of making her way downstairs into our bed frequently. So yeah, there's none of that. Yeah, it's been a strange week. We have not heard nearly the noise or anything at night, so it's been kind of it's been way different than a typical week here at the household, and I'm sure everybody wanted to know about that.
Of course they did, because this is as much the Divorced Dads podcast as it is. And but again,
I will tell you,
for clarification, I'm the only divorced dad on the podcast. Divorced dad and two remarried dads.
Oh, sure. But another interesting development, Braden, I don't know if he'll call in tonight or not, but had spent the last weekend at my parents, who live in Illinois still. He hangs out with his cousins a lot, and he likes to spend time there. So he was with my parents, or at my parents' house last weekend in Illinois. Slipped and fell in the shower, gave himself the biggest swollen right eye I've seen on camera in a very long time. cut himself like a boxer, right? Like on the brow bone. Didn't get stitches. They put glue on it. And he probably won't want to call in for that. Like wherever he had, like he's got sensitive skin, so the glue or whatever reacted to it, swole even more. It's all red.
Oh no!
Left side of his face looks perfectly normal. Right side looked like Mike Tyson just or not even Mike Tyson. A mule just kicked him right in the right eye. Like
are you sure that that's not what happened? And he's just trying to make his dad feel better by saying he slipped in the shower.
I'm pretty sure my parents aren't very like farm going or venturous, so I'm pretty sure, Pete, it was a shower slip.
Okay, just making sure. It'd be a far more interesting story if he had gotten in a fight, because then he could just say, "You should see the other guy, Dad."
I've been telling him this. Like, you got a boxer scar now. Like you can,
right?
Like you can claim that stuff, man.
This doesn't have to be slipped in the shower.
Like
5 years from now, you should have seen this guy.
Problem is,
he's like 6'10".
He's a very honest boy, and he will always tell the truth.
350 pounds.
He's an honest kid. He'll tell the right story. I guess I appreciate that part of it, but the other part of me goes, he just doesn't get it yet.
He will someday. He'll develop it. When he's got that girl on the hook, he'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you see this scar?"
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody it was from when I slipped in the shower, because, it's not cool to get in fights, but
I was defending a homeless family.
That's right.
I put that guy
down at McLeod's Landing.
Oh, you can't do that. Anyway, I'm actually dying to hear the details of this trip you took to St. Louis. You have now, to put it in the context, Pete and I went in 2005. That was the last year Busch Stadium II was open. We went to 2 games, I think, that year. I think we went to the Cubs, and I think we went to the Yankees Cardinals.
Yes. You're right, we did.
Yeah. So the 2 games, you have not been down to Busch Stadium III since then. It's been, geez, I don't even want to do the math, like 17 years, 16 years?
17 years. Although I don't remember what the year was, but I think I told you this. I was down there. They had opened the ballpark. And
you have not been to a game.
I haven't been to a game, but we stayed at the Hyatt, that used to be able to look into the ballpark. I don't know how easily it looks into it now with Ballpark Village in the way there. But
I don't know.
We had a straight shot from our hotel right into the ballpark, and there was actually a game going on when we were there.
Yeah,
which was kind of cool, but not the same.
Yeah, no, not the same. They've got more of it finished now. It sounds, since you have been there. So tell us about this experience. I know that you were lobbying Elliott and I to make it for this one, but my daughter turned 6, had her birthday party over the weekend. We couldn't do it, but tell us about the experience, man. I'm dying to hear about what you thought, because I'd been to Wrigley since they renovated it in 2018, or I went in 2018. They renovated it before that, but curious to hear your impressions.
So, I told you leading up to this that we were taking the train. So we rolled into St. Louis just as the game was starting, which was kind of cool because the train goes basically right past Busch Stadium. And so I got to point out to the boy that was the stadium, and he's like, "Why are the lights on?" Because the game has started. He said, "Wait, there's a game tonight?" I said, "Yes, we discussed this. There's a game."
So obviously you went on Friday.
Yeah, we went down on Friday.
Right.
And so of course we weren't there. And the Cubs win. But we stayed at Union Station, the old Union Station, which they've now converted into a hotel and like an entertainment district, which was great. He loved it. We've discussed before, he's a huge rail fan, and so he loved being able to stay in a historic train station. But
yeah.
So we were up late on Friday just when we rolled in and getting dinner and everything. So slept in on Saturday. Walked over to Ballpark Village in the hopes of being able to get some brunch, and nobody was serving brunch because it was a game day. And so we slid right into lunch, sat right across the street there at Salt and Smoke, walked right in. We were able to sit out on the patio, and he got his first taste of St. Louis barbecue, and he got to try toasted rav.
Oh, really? And, toasted ravioli. You had that there.
And baked mac and cheese.
Yeah.
With the Ritz crackers crumpled on top. Loved it.
Only the best.
Only the best. Oh, and then he also had brisket sliders. So Really enjoyed his lunch. And then I think I told you before, we were in the left field bleachers. So It was right out Salt and Smoke and right into the gates for us, which was nice. It really was. It was hotter than hell on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much they talked about it on the broadcast, but we never lasted more than like 2 innings out there. And then it was up into the gift shop, into the shade just to get out of the sun because it was brutally hot. Cubs came back, but then immediately dropped it. So 5-3 loss in game 1. Walked over to the river, took a nice riverboat cruise for an hour up and down the Mississippi, which he was skeptical about when I told him we were going to do it. And by the time he got off, he loved it. And then we walked over towards the landing to hop on the Metrolink to go back to our hotel. And he was actually the one who asked for it. He's like, "Dad, what's that?" And I said, "That's Leclerc's Landing."
Okay.
It's kind of like what St. Louis used to look like when it was first settled, when it was first built up. And he said, "Let's go take a look." So we walked down the street, and you had warned me, and it is, it's a ghost town now.
Yeah, it used to be in the 80s. I remember mid 80s.
Well, even into the 90s, it was a hot place.
Even into the 90s. Yeah, of course, it was the place before and after games, to hang out, and it was kind of a cool environment. There were bars and shops, and there was a wax museum and all kinds of stuff around there that was. It was kind of cool to see. And now, I don't know when the last time I even ventured near that place, but yeah, it's sad to see places like that were so vibrant 2 decades ago or a decade ago, even just crumble,
Yeah. I wonder if the Rams leaving town didn't cause a lot of that because the dome is so close.
Maybe, but I think the downfall of Leclerc's Landing happened even before the Rams departed. But it used to be a really cool place. Definitely an attraction, but
so many empty storefronts.
Yeah,
it was really depressing. And then the obligatory completely stoned guy walking down the street, barely has his eyes open. So we walk to the end of the street, look around. We're walking back to get on the train, and he's now sitting down in front of a restaurant. He's holding the cigarette in front of him. It's completely burned down to ash, and it's about 2 millimeters off of his shirt. So he's that close to starting himself on fire. And then in the other hand is his dime bag of weed. And I was like, "Elliott?" And he didn't respond. But yeah, man, just passed out in front of the restaurant. So we hop on and went back to the hotel.
Hey, man, you're on the wrong side of the river.
But so then we woke up much earlier on Sunday. Had breakfast at the hotel and then headed over and looked like it was going to be another bad game for us as Cubs fans.
Ended up being at least a little bit more exciting game.
Well, I think I relayed this to you guys, but maybe not. And I have to say, we've always joked about the rivalry and everything, but nothing but the best interactions with Cardinals fans and we weren't hiding our affiliation. I wore Cubs jerseys both days.
Yeah, we saw the pictures in the post. Yeah.
And the boy wore a jersey to game 1. He wore his Amtrak jersey to game 2 because, obviously we're riding the train later that night. So he had to. He had to represent his team, his true team.
Yep.
And so both great interactions with Cardinals fans standing in lines and stuff. But so the Cubs are down 5-0. And I think it was what was it? I think the 6th inning, maybe when the Cubs scored all their runs. He was hungry, so we got up and we went to get something out of concessions. And while we were standing in line, the Cubs scored all 5 of their runs. We didn't see any of it in person.
Yep, that was a series of texts I got from you.
So then, obviously, the game ran long. We had to go back to the hotel, get our stuff. So we leave I think it was the top of the 8th inning.
Mm-hmm.
We leave, go back to get our bags and everything. By the time we get to the train station, the Cubs have scored their run in the top of the 9th, and David Robertson is closed, or the top of the 10th. David Robertson is closing it out in the bottom of the 10th. So the Cubs win 6-5. We saw the Cubs score exactly 0 runs.
When you were physically there. The Cubs took the series, though, which was...
They did.
It was... a tough thing to see when you're, competing for a division title. You got a team that's struggling. Those are the series you're supposed to, you're supposed to win those, and you kind of have to. You have to compile those wins with those 500 sub 500 teams, and they just couldn't do it. And that's been,
and it also didn't help, that game 3, it turning into a bullpen day because Jack Flaherty hurt himself again and only went 2 innings. I mean, and that was, I don't know about anybody else in the stadium. I was not present to the fact that there was somebody warming up in the bullpen. And then all of a sudden, top of the 3rd, and Flaherty is not on the monitor. It's like, wait, what just happened?
And watching it on TV, Pete, just watching him come off the diamond at the end of the 2nd, it's a perfect segue. I know we were going to talk about this, but it looked more like frustration and not an injury. So, and maybe the frustration was from the injury and just wasn't showing it, but just really screams. And this has been, criticism of how this whole situation has been handled, that, he needed more time before coming back.
Well, and you saw
clearly.
those comments, right?
Yeah.
Basically throwing Flaherty under the bus and saying we had a timeline laid out for him and didn't follow it.
And there's a union involved, so perhaps the hands were a little bit tied on this. I don't know. I don't know the nuance of how that works, but to me, it's like I know there's a lot of strong opinions about Jack. Sometimes it's directed towards his social views, which I probably align with him a little bit more than most. But I think that's where a lot of the some of the criticism comes from, at least, I think. And I understand that. But when that was revealed, right or wrong, or true or false, reminded me so much of Matt Harvey not wanting to come out of that game in the World Series in 2015 when they were facing the Royals, and he talked Terry Collins out of taking him out and then blew it after that. Reminded me so much of that, where you got a player who wants so badly to compete, play, contribute, and just for whatever reason doesn't have, the manager saw something. Somebody saw something that, you shouldn't be back yet, or you shouldn't stay in. And I feel the same way here, where you got, a little bit of a player with a strong head who maybe shouldn't have come back when they did. So I don't know how much influence a club has to say yes or no. But it was very clear in his starts, and definitely his start over the weekend, that he just wasn't ready to do it yet. And here he is again on the DL. We don't know. He proclaims he'll be back this year, but what do you expect a player to say? Well,
and, I think at this point, the organization has to step up and say, nope, you're not coming back until we say you're healthy. Because what it sounds like is that he said, no, I'm ready to come back up. Mm-hmm. And I get the drive to compete. I get the desire to contribute. But what was it, 2-3 starts in the minors, and he declared himself fit and ready to go, and then couldn't go. I mean, both of his first 2 starts were 3 innings.
They were not good. Like none of them. He had no command.
How you're helping the team? He didn't help the team by coming back so quickly. And if that was his desire, he failed.
Yeah. Yeah, hard to argue. No matter how much you like the guy, it's like no matter how much you want to see that Cardinals ace that you dreamed of, like he wasn't ready to come back. I don't know what's in the guy's head because I don't know him, but he seems pretty headstrong. If you follow him on social media or see it. So I don't know. It seems like a little bit of a stubborn move on the player's part. And the organization, I guess, doesn't have the backbone to say no. Like, I don't know. So.
And this is, you're right. You bring it up there and 100% the organization bears some of the blame for this. This is not an entirely a Jack Flaherty issue. This is in both camps.
But if you've listened to fans,
because if the organization says you're not coming up, you're not ready, then it's up to them to stick to it. And obviously they back down on that. And in retrospect, they shouldn't have.
Well, it's an asset. I hate calling it that, but I know players don't want to be referred to as that, but it's something that regardless of minimum or big salary, it's an asset to the company.
Yeah.
And they should have some say, and they should exercise that authority when appropriate.
Right.
And not abuse it, of course. But yeah, in this case, I think it was very clear to the human eye, like, this dude was not ready to come back. So here we are. This is an easy one, Pete. Like, we'll see him pitch in a Cardinals uniform again, but he is not a long-term thing. Just not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. Well, and especially now with this, right? I don't. It feels like to me like a bridge has been burned. You don't typically throw a player under the bus like Mo did so publicly. One or both sides are not going to want to continue this. I mean, it seems to me there's already been tension in this relationship.
Yeah.
And now for Mo to throw him under like that, I can't imagine that Flaherty is going to be jumping at the chance to sign an extension. And similarly, the organization no doubt has questions about his long-term durability.
Now, based on Mo's pitching acquisitions and moves, you might think the guy's an idiot, but he's not. He's not. I don't think he would say that. I find it hard to believe, hearing both sides of this, that he would actually say this if it weren't the case. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Could be completely wrong about it, but I tend to agree. Now, do I agree with the way he did that? I don't know. But if you're getting so much heat on your pitching staff, and maybe he did the right thing. Like, fuck it. You know what? We told him not to come back. We advised against it, and they did it anyway. Used their, union power to override us. And I'm not going to take the heat for this one. What he should take the heat for is not fortifying this pitching staff. Outside of Steven Matz, which I think was, a signing. I don't know. You could argue it was a bad signing, but he did something to fortify the pitching staff. The fact they didn't do anything more, given what they had run into last year with the, absolute train wreck of a starting pitching staff early in the year, when Flaherty went down again. You can criticize Mo all day long for that. I don't know about this current, most recent Jack Flaherty situation that you can criticize the Cardinals front office too much for this one. But absolutely, launch every Scud missile you have at them if you want to criticize them for not having a contingency or having more arms ready. Because it said it for weeks now, Pete. It's a time bomb waiting to go off.
Yep, absolutely. And, you referred to it earlier, but I mean, just from having been in the park, you could tell that had Flaherty been able to stay in the game, the Cubs were going to get to him. I mean, he did not look dominant on Sunday. They were going to get to him. It's, he just put his teammates in a tough situation, and he did Whitgren no favors. It's hard to blame him for what happened. I mean, I think it's really difficult to blame him for what happened.
I mean, I don't think anybody expects to come in and take over a game in the third inning.
Right.
Down in the bullpen.
Yeah. So, and I mean, he got one inning, he got out of the third.
Right.
But it caught up to him.
But
yeah, I mean, and again, it's the pressure that subsequently puts on the bullpen. And if you're going to have that, at least you want to know that it's coming. I mean, the one saving grace was that Wainwright was pitching the next day. And so a little less to worry about, but still, they needed, they needed the staff better protected. Yep.
Just going into the year in general. And that didn't happen. We all know how important it is to stay protected, right?
We do.
Sometimes life throws you a big Adam Wainwright, 12-6 curveball, and that's why you need Allstate. The Wiley Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They offer a customized approach that is unique to your situations to make sure your family, and assets are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings, Give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. They can help you get an insurance quote right over the phone. We all have busy lives. You can email Sean at seanwiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate.
On the other side of the ledger, I certainly hope that Cubs fans are not fooling themselves with this recent stretch of relatively good play. I mean, I would say they got lucky in winning that series this weekend. Any other starting pitcher staked to a 5-run lead after 3 innings, you're probably most of the time you would be fairly comfortable that you're going to win.
Did the microphone pick that up?
No.
4th of July has started early here, evidently in North Carolina.
It started early here. We had our first 2 nights ago.
Okay.
So it was a good time. Yeah. And the Cubs are beating up on the Reds, but they're playing a rubber game tonight because it's the Reds. So, let's not be fooled.
The Reds are always at best in a rubber game.
But Patrick Wisdom is having himself a night tonight. He's got 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. So
he could be a nice pickup for somebody.
But I don't know that anybody's going to pick him up.
No,
he's 30 years old.
Oh, he's almost dead.
Yeah. In Major League Baseball now. Yeah. And he strikes out over 30% of the time. So,
Oof.
I mean, he's got ridiculous contact, but he has to hit the ball.
Oh,
So I don't see him being a trade piece. I don't see anybody making it.
Right.
I think we'll see some of the Cubs outfielders on the move. I think Rafael Ortega is gone.
yeah.
I think it's a fairly safe bet that David Robertson will be gone. You can probably count on Wilson Contreras getting traded, although I don't know what you're going to be able to bring for a starting catcher because you're losing the advantage of them having worked with the pitching staff and getting to know the pitching staff. It's going to take a while to get him up to speed. There's talk that Ian Happ and Kyle Hendricks might be on the trade block, but I don't know what you're going to get for them. I just hope Ian Happ keeps hitting out of his mind for the next couple of weeks so that he can be traded and my nightmare can end. I actually had the guy sitting in front of us on Sunday, turned around. The boy was getting a kick out of every time that Ian Happ did anything, good or bad. I would inform him or I would remind him that he sucks. And finally the guy, and every time I said that, the boy would laugh hysterically. And finally in about the 6th or 7th inning, of the game on Sunday, guy in front of me turned around, who's a Cubs fan, but he was there with his family who were Cardinals fans. He turned around and he said, why are you so down on Happ? So I proceeded to explain to him that I don't believe his shtick, and I know that this hot streak is going to end soon. So I hope he maintains it long enough.
Well, and he only sees Happ, likely only sees Happ against the Cardinals, and he seems like an all-star. Like if you play St. Louis, 162 games, he would be like MVP conversation, or at least clutch man of the year, whatever that award is. But yeah, not surprising. I would love to see them deal Happ. I don't want to see him anymore. I want him to go to the American League, far away, like Seattle or something, just dude, go away.
Well, hey, you guys can directly chalk up Sunday or Saturday's win to Ian Happ's excellence in the field, because their first 2 runs came on some pretty lazy play out there. What was it? I think it was Goldschmidt or Arenado. I don't remember who it was, but somebody flared one out there, and Ian didn't get a good jump. Let's just leave it at that.
No.
It was Goldschmidt, because then Goldschmidt went 1st to 3rd because Ian lollygagged.
And there was a throw that should have gone to 2nd. That
exactly.
Yeah.
So for every good catch that he made on Sunday, he more than made up.
But the Cardinals didn't exactly put on a defensive clinic early in this game.
Oh my God!
You saw Paul Goldschmidt's first error of the year. You witnessed it.
Rolled between his legs.
Yeah, like pulled a Bill Buckner, took the eye off just for a second. Ball skipped past him. It wasn't pretty.
No, it wasn't. And then they proceeded to kick it around the infield on like the very next play.
Harrison Bader.
Yep. And the boy was like,
This baseball
"Dad,
sucks."
that's not good." And I said, "No, you're right. You're seeing something very rare, because usually the Cardinals are so good in the infield." And I was explaining that to him, but obviously it was our presence down the first base line. It really threw off Paul Goldschmidt. So sorry.
So you saw a lot of errors that were uncanny, but you couldn't see a run.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Hey, no, we saw 5 runs. They were all scored by the Cardinals, but we saw 5 runs.
Yeah, you saw 5 runs. Right.
Yeah.
And of course you had to leave the game early on Sunday to catch your train. You couldn't see the Cubs come back.
Nope.
And take that one. The Cardinals also could have swept the Marlins last night and had 2 outs in the 9th inning.
Sandy Alcantara told Mattingly, "I got this."
He did. He basically did. I mean, you can't blame him either. Like, this guy has pitched so many innings this year. I mean, if you look at it as far as starters go, Alcantara has probably logged the most innings as a starter, I would have to guess, right?
Yeah, he's got to be up there. And it makes sense with an old school manager like Mattingly.
And he's got such shit run support. That he's probably like, this guy deserves a win, hell or high water. And finally took him out, I think in the 9th inning with an out maybe. But yeah, so he secured a win. And, of course, Cardinals are flaring up about, well, we traded this guy for Marcell Ozuna. True. Definitely would love to see him in a Cardinals uniform again. But look, at that time in that place 4 years ago, like over 4 years ago, we were talking about this. The Cardinals desperately needed a middle of the order bat. They had nothing on the horizon. There was no Paul Goldschmidt. There was no Nolan Arenado. There was nothing in the middle of that order. You had Matt Carpenter in the hopes of like Steven Piscotty. Okay, you had nothing on the horizon. We had nothing. So they made a deal for Marcell Ozuna. Had to give a high-level prospect to the Marlins, and they gave Sandy Alcantara, and he's turned out to be a pretty good pitcher. But you put him in right now he's in a low-pressure context, Pete.
Yep.
Put him in a high-pressure context with a team that's competing. You never know what you're going to see, and you know what? For his career, for his sake, thank God he left St. Louis, because he's seen how well they've handled young pitchers.
Yeah.
So,
and Ron, credit where due. You're absolutely right. He is leading the majors with 115 innings pitched, 18 more.
I figured he
than
had to.
Second place.
Yeah, I mean he's
a workhorse,
and he's got shit run support because it's the Marlins, and they're doing whatever they're doing, which is a mystery to people in Miami. Sorry for you guys.
Indeed. So what do you say? Labor Day weekend, Cubs return to the Lou.
That'll be a tough one because it is a holiday weekend. We're going to be back in Illinois the first week of August to visit my parents. So to turn around again at TBD, a little bit of a stretch. I know it's a great notion.
Someday.
It's going to happen someday.
Oh my God, Ron, we'd be revisiting. First weekend in August, you're going to be in Illinois?
Yeah.
Cardinals, Yankees.
Ooh.
And Saturday is Joe Torre bobblehead day.
Who my wife often gets mixed up with Don Mattingly.
Right.
They look so much alike.
Yes, they do. They do. And they played together as well. So
they do. And hearing her get the names wrong is unpleasant. Another thing that is unpleasant is buying a new car. None of us like to do it. I hate doing it because you spend about 2 or 3 hours at the dealership just to buy a car. It doesn't take that long, but they like to travel back and forth to the manager, get you to sign something that says, oh, I'll buy it at this price. We all know buying a vehicle is stressful. It does not have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street Motors believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle no matter your budget. Give Brandon or Dawn a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Team Arrivals Podcast and Gateway City Sports sent you.
So, Ron, before we call it a night, I know it's early, but what are you expecting the Cards to be looking for at the deadline?
I would God hope that they would look for an arm. I don't know if there's a Lester and Happ out there this year that will, come in and give them fortification. But I would hope that the writing is very clear on the wall that this pitching staff could just collapse, implode at any point in time, bullpen included. Like they need an arm. So minor league system has a lot of depth. I know that the youngsters cringe at giving away minor leaguers, but why do you have them there? They can't all play. They're not all going to pan out, no matter how much you fucking cross your fingers and hope they do and love them. Like minor league, it's there for a reason. There are certainly pieces that they have that they can deal from. But they've got to have an arm. I'm not going to throw names around because we'll get flamed, but it's there. They've got to have a reliable starter. Hell or high water. That's what I want to see.
I'm going to throw a name at you. Not that I think it's going to happen.
Yep.
And it's going to be obvious why it wouldn't happen. But could I interest you in a Kyle Hendricks?
You know what? If he was on the block for the right price, hell yeah. And not just because he's a Cardinal killer, because he throws. I mean, the dude throws like witchcraft up against St. Louis. I don't know what it is. Like that 83-mile-an-hour heat. Just it perplexes him. They can't hit it. He is a poor man's version of Greg Maddux.
He is. And I think that if he had pitched 20 years ago, he would have been recognized as such.
I think so too. Yeah.
But the game has become so much about velocity that I think he constantly gets over.
No,
he's not the same pitcher that he was there for that.
And nobody gets a boner about it unless you have a bunch of Kyle like Farnsworth coming off a factory line.
Right.
And that's what everybody loves. Oh my God, look at the bend on that throw. We'll love him for 2.5 years until he implodes, which is what people get excited about this day and age. So yeah, would I love a guy who knows how to just pitch? Absolutely. And Kyle Hendricks is a pitcher. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher. Yep.
As evidenced by his line tonight. Cubs are up. Last time I checked, they're up 10-2. I guarantee you, when he was staked to that 6-run lead, you were seeing a whole lot of fastballs pounding the zone.
Yeah.
At that point, he doesn't care. He's gonna throw it in the zone, and he's gonna make sure that it's tailing away. It's moving away from your bat. But go ahead and hit it. He doesn't care.
What I would tell the Cubs right now, you're reluctant to deal within your division. Like you're not competing this year.
No.
Like it's weapons free. We don't care who we deal with at this point.
Right. Just can you land a return that's going to satisfy your needs? Yep. Think about what Hendricks could do with the Cardinals defense behind him.
Exactly.
He's a ground ball pitcher. He pitches to contact. He could do some, and Busch Stadium is obviously it plays bigger than Wrigley does typically. The kind of damage the kind of success that I think that he could experience would be great. I mean, I'd hate to see him move down south, but I'd like to see him get another run at the playoffs and actually get a chance to start a World Series game and be allowed to take it much, much further in rather than get pulled in the middle of an inning.
There you go. I'd be all about it.
I bet. Brilliant.
I'd be all about anything with a pulse and a healthy arm. Left or right, don't care.
You know what? My son's asleep right now, but I'll send you his stats.
All right.
He throws that kind of junk too.
Well, we're definitely not pulling him as a hitter yet.
No, definitely not.
He's got some development.
He's got a lot of development as a hitter.
All right. Lead us out.
All right, buddy. Well, you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review on your podcaster and tell your friends to do the same. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts, as well as Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show and Talking Sports in the Bleachers with Don Glenn. When he's not packing for a road trip, you can find Elliott on Twitter at @TOR_Elliott. And you can find her on at
TR_Ron 75.
75. Get in touch with us. Get in touch with us at the show at teamarivalspodcast.com or on any social media channel at Team Arrivals Pod. That's all I got this week, buddy. For those of you who are tuning in, you're going to miss us next week. I think everybody is gone.
We're all
Obviously,
gone.
it's 4th of July week, so you'll have to make do without
Plus,
us.
it's
but
All-Star
I'm sure
break.
There won't be much
and,
happening.
Right? Or All-Star break a couple weeks after that, maybe? It's a couple weeks after that.
Yeah, it's not next week.
I just made that shit up.
Yeah, you did. But that's okay.
It's All-Star break
it's
for
2
us.
weeks after. Yeah, exactly.
So.
Maybe we'll live stream the All-Star game.
What a boring event.
Oh my God.
Wear your own uniforms, for the love of God.
I know, I missed that.
I hate it so much. That's a topic next time we get together. Pete, thanks for leading us out. We'll see you sometime in July, guys, when we feel like it. Until then, we love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Happy birthday, America.